Hello, everyone. Miss Everson here. I just wanted to post a video of our pinch pot demo that we did this morning so you guys can go back to it and reference it if you need to, or if you missed class and you need to see it, it'll be here in Google Classroom. So in your supply bag, you should have gotten 2 chunks of clay in this plastic bag, as well as a board to hold your work on that you're working on, and a black plastic bag to keep your pieces moist while you're still working on them, so you can put them away for a day and come back to them and they wouldn't have dried out. So today for the pinch pot, we are only going to use 1 chunk, and we're going to use just a portion of that chunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rip off a small piece from my big chunk. I would say probably the size of a small apple. Should fit in the palm of your hand, and you're just gonna kind of work it in your palms, trying to make it into a spherical shape of sorts. You can also use your board to kind of roll it around, so like, you see these where they kind of folded in on each other. They'll kind of help smooth those lines out. So I'm just gonna roll it around a little bit, continue to use my palms to turn it into a sphere or a ball shape. So you can see I'm kind of cupping it from both sides. That kind of pushes the clay together and makes that round shape. First step I've got done is the ball. Now I'm going to take my thumb and I'm just going to put it right in the center. So if I'm looking down at it, it's right in the center. I'm going to push my thumb. I'm going to put my palm on the other side of the ball, and I'm going to push my thumb down into the clay until I can kind of feel like I'm getting close to the bottom of the ball. You don't want to push your thumb through, because then you will not have a bowl. You will have a weird cylinder of some sort. So what you want to do at this point is you want to make sure that you are pinching to about 1/4 of an inch thickness. So kind of, it's kind of guesswork. It's kind of getting to know the clay as you work with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it in circles around my thumb like this. So it's sitting in my palm, and I'm turning it with my fingers and my thumb and pinching at the same time. So what I'm doing is I'm starting where my thumb kind of hit the bottom of the clay, which is like right here. And as I'm turning and pinching, it's almost like I'm making a spiral up and around. And I'm trying to pinch it at the same thickness all the way through, so that as I'm pinching and pulling, it's pulling all the extra clay up and out, creating that bowl shape. And then hopefully, if you take your time and you're careful with it, it'll be a nice, consistent wall thickness. So another way to do it, and I find this kind of helpful sometimes too, if your fingers start to cramp up, or if your hands are kind of small and it's hard to reach the bottom of your pot, sometimes it helps to put it in the palm of your hand or your other hand, and then use your thumb to kind of turn and pinch at the same time as well, and kind of work your way up the walls of your bowl. So I'm just going to do this for a little while. So hopefully you guys are doing this at the same time, so you're not just sitting here watching me pinch. Again, trying to keep the thickness consistent. So I'm kind of going back and I'm checking if something feels kind of thick. I'm going to go back and kind of pinch it, try to pull it back, pinch it, and like move it up so the clay is moving up toward the rim of the bowl. Now you want to take your time doing this, because if you're too vigorous with it, you might pinch too hard and it's going to be really thin in spots. Or you might not pinch hard enough and it's going to be extra thick in spots. So the idea is to try to get it consistent. And this is your first pinch pot. Maybe not, but if it is, that's okay. That's how we're going to learn. So you can see this is kind of what it looks like at this point. It's gotten a little bit bigger. I'd say I'm about halfway up. I'm probably going to have to go back and pinch some more to make it a little bit thinner. But you can feel that the up here, about here and up, is pretty thick yet. So I'm just going to keep pinching and turning. This is a really good technique just to kind of get a good feel for how clay molds, how you can use your hands to manipulate different shapes. Pinch pots can be made without any tools, just your hands. So that's kind of why we're starting with it. It gives you a good idea of how the clay works. So now I'm starting to open up that rim a little bit. I can feel it's really thick in here. Just come back in here, pinching it and bringing it back up to the top. Again, sometimes it's easier to use your palm. So really just take your time doing this, trying to make sure it's nice and consistent. Now you can see there's some kind of cracks going on here. You can just kind of smooth those out. The clay is still considered wet and still plastic, so the cracks you can just kind of smooth out with your fingers. Now the lip is starting to open up, or the rim. So if you want, you can start opening that up if you wanted your bowl to be more open, or if you wanted to kind of bring it back in, you can do that at this point, or you can wait until it's in the leather hard stage and start refining it that way. So I'm kind of just checking real quick here. Really thick in here. I'm still kind of pushing that clay around. So what I'm going to do next is first I'm going to show you guys how you should store your bowls. If you're thinking you're going to go back to it tomorrow and work on it some more, say you got to this point and you're like, I'm just not happy with it. I want to work on it again tomorrow. So I want it to keep this moisture. What I'm going to do is I am going to place it here on my board like this so that it doesn't start slumping. If I stored it like this, it's going to get a flat bottom and it's going to start to droop. So when you store it overnight, put it like this. And we're going to put it inside your plastic bag, twist it around the bottom and tuck it underneath so that all of the moisture stays inside your bag. If you feel like your clay has gotten kind of dry, you can take a water bottle and spritz it a little bit and then put it in the bag. If you don't have a water bottle, just like splash some water in there. That should be enough to keep it moist. But I'm not going to do that right now because I wanted to show you guys what this looks like when I cut it in half so you can see how consistent the wall thickness is. And just kind of explaining what I'm talking about with trying to keep it consistent all the way through. So you guys do not need to cut your bowls in half. This is simply for demonstration purposes. So please don't cut your bowls in half after you worked on them. But you can see where I put my thumb down is really thin, and I left a lot of clay in this corner. I don't know if you guys can see that, where it's, this is a pretty good thickness up here, but it gets really kind of thick in here. So I should have taken more time to kind of pinch that bottom curve, and I could have pulled more up before I stopped. But that just kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like on the inside and trying to keep it consistent when I'm talking about the thickness of your walls. So hopefully that helps with your pinch pot. Good luck with it. I hope you enjoy it. I know it's not a terribly complicated process, but it can be a relaxing one. So enjoy it. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.